And that led to one of the DJs mentioning these folks in the yellow shirt. It led to one of them coming back to the restaurant. Next thing you know, bam, he's talking about the great fried chicken that he ate once he got to the radio.
Okay, I go many ways with this.
Let's go.
I'm gonna go with this way, right? So it has to be the go-to spot in Houston. Like you've had, I think every celebrity hit that spot.
Yeah.
Social media posts all over the place. Like, my question to you is, how did we get the important people to come there? Like, I think a lot of people, when they're trying to grow their brands and their businesses, they're trying to figure out, how do we get those influencers' attention?
Yeah.
How do we create those different types of relationships? Like, what did you find that this is what I did that instantly made want everybody to come, no matter if they were the regular 9-to-5 person or the A-list celebrity?
Right. So look, 2 words. How did we get that to happen? I would have to say by intention. It was very deliberate. And let's back this up. Let's make sure we're talking about, understand what we're talking about. We're talking about the pre-IG, the pre-FB, the pre-Twitter world. We're talking in 2001, when I opened these doors, we didn't have the world at the touch at our fingertips, right? So we had to be very strategic, very creative in how we were going to attract folks from across the country. And when I say by intention, that was a goal of ours from day one. When I wrote the plan, I wanted the Breakfast Club to be synonymous with the city of Houston, meaning when you say I'm going to Houston, you would hear somebody say, you got to stop by the Breakfast Club. Or if you say, I just came from Houston, they would ask you, did you go by the Breakfast Club? I remember one day, a buddy of mine, this was probably about year 2 or 3, a buddy of mine had checked, he went out of town and checked into a hotel. I think he was in DC. And he called me from the hotel. He said, man, you're not going to believe this. He said, I'm standing in a hotel in DC. I'm checking in. And the lady looks at my driver's license and said, you from Houston? Have you been to the Breakfast Club? And he just thought that was fascinating. And I was fascinated. I was excited because it meant that we were fulfilling our goal. Our intention was being met. And when I say intention, we intended to be known. I wanted this single shop on the corner of Alabama and Travis to be known from the Pacific to the Atlantic. I know today that sounds like, oh, that's not a big deal. But in 2001, when your best form of advertising is snail mail, or we were still doing dial up in 2001, right? You was still AOL. That was still happening when we opened the doors. So it was a lot of grassroots guerrilla marketing, a lot of hand-to-hand combat that got us to the point of being recognized. But to boil that down, pun intended, to boil it down, I knew that beyond anything else, what would get our name out and what would get us known is what we had to deliver, right? What we were going to deliver, the quality product, the quality service, and the level of consistency that we provided is what I expected to speak volumes. So because we didn't have a Facebook page and because we didn't have an Instagram page, I had to rely on the number one form of marketing then and today, which is word of mouth. And my message to my team was that as we fill these seats, if we give them a quality product, if we give them great service, then they will go out and they'll spread our name across the land. And, it was, I'll tell you a funny story about one of the ways that we were able to get national attention because we didn't have the mechanism that we have today. You remember Tom Joyner Morning Show, right? Which was one of the most popular radio shows back in the day. And I was like, man, how can I get on the Tom Joyner Morning Show? Well, we started on a shoestring budget, right? Everything from our construction to the staff we wanted to hire to the marketing plan had to take a big hit because our startup costs, our startup budget was 10% of what we desired in the business plan. And so I was thinking, how can I get on the Tom Joyner Morning Show? Because that's the only way I'm going to get known across the nation. And I was like, well, I don't have the money to go buy Tom Joyner commercials. That's out of the question.
Right.
And at the time, Tom Joyner was still doing what they call the Sky Show. I don't know if y'all remember that, right? And he would travel to different cities and do a live show. Now, the show ran across the country. He traveled to the city and he'd do the show live. When I found out it was coming to Houston, I said, that's it. I got to find a way to get my name mentioned on that program when they come to the city of Houston. So this is what we did. I couldn't tag him on IG. I couldn't tag him on Facebook. I couldn't inbox them and say, when you come to the city, come through. I couldn't trend. So I had to be creative. And so they rented out one of the Coliseums, one of the event venues downtown. And I told my wife that we were going to buy 102 yellow T-shirts. That was the dial on the radio station, right? 102 shirts. They were neon yellow. They was yellow as this cap on this seasoning back here. Had our logo on there. And we got up, my wife and I got up at 4:00 in the morning and we went out there and we passed out 102 yellow shirts. And we told everybody, put the shirt on, wear the shirt on the inside. If I see you on the inside, then you get a free breakfast from me. It cost me 102 breakfasts. But by the time that show was over, once you were in there, if you looked around the arena, you saw, and now it's 5,000 people in there. But for certain, one consistent was the 102 specks of bright yellow throughout that venue. And then even more important, when they came back to the restaurant, they all lined up to get the free grits that I promised. And that led to one of the DJs mentioning these folks in the yellow shirt. It led to one of them coming back to the restaurant. Next thing you know, bam, he's talking about the great fried chicken that he ate once he got to the radio. And that's why I say quality product, quality service, and consistency is important, because had we done all of that to get him inside the store and we didn't deliver once he got here, then it would have been all for naught. So it's incredibly important to understand how important it is to be able to, okay, y'all know I like movies, right?
Of course.
So I did prepare a movie for this, right?
Okay, let's go.
You know, one of my favorite quotes in Brandon is Denzel Washington in the movie American Gangster, right? You remember he said Brandon, it's a brand name. It's like Pepsi, it's a brand name. I stand behind it. They know me. I mean, they know the product, even if they don't know me, right? And I stand behind it. And what he was saying was he stood behind it. And when people got that package, they expected the quality of product, the quality of service, and the consistency. So, that's how we've been able to do this over the last 20 years, being a place of great quality, of consistency, and great service.